Okay, welcome all to this webinar about ancient wheat, the old grain with prospect. I'm Gladys Zinati, the Director of Vegetable Systems Trial here at Rodale Institute in Pennsylvania, Kutztown, the headquarters of Rodale Institute. Before we start today, I'm thinking that if you have a chance to write in the chat where you are connecting from to attend this webinar. I would like to see where in the globe we are getting people to sign up and be in this webinar. Okay, California, Netherlands, France, Ohio, Nevada, Minneapolis, New Jersey, Colorado, Belgium, Denmark, Indiana, Italy, Florida, Iowa, Wisconsin, Maine, all right, Spain, Connecticut again, and who else we missed? Canada, Ontario, Michigan, Minneapolis, Missouri, Tennessee, also Pennsylvania, United Kingdom, Italy again, Lebanon, New York, Virginia. That's nice to see how many people from across the globe are signing up to this webinar. Thank you so much. And I'm gonna start the presentation, but you can keep writing. After I finish my presentation, we'll see if you have more. But please, let's take care of some housekeeping first. And I'm trying to move the slide here. All right. So you would be hearing me, and if I am not audible, please check your settings about the audio on your screen. Please type all your questions under the QA and not in the chat, so it will reduce the disturbance. At the end of the presentation, I would be responding to your questions that you wrote, or if you feel like you are still processing, you can continue adding your questions. For all other problems, please call Justin Barkley at the phone number 610-683-1442. If you are in the United States, if you are outside and you have problems in connecting, please take a shot with your cell phone about his email and contact him. Recording of this presentation would be posted on our website in a week, and you will receive also an email since you already registered for that. I would just give you a brief outline of this presentation. First, I would give you a background about the acreage and tonnage that it has been grown for cereals and wheat, characteristics of the wheat and the benefits, and introduce the research study that I have been doing within the area of ancient wheat, providing you with results that we got from the first year, summary, and then question and answer. And to help myself to focus better on the presentation, I will turn off my camera at the moment, and then I will open it again. So cereals, they are considered the largest commodity crops across the globe. And you could see here that among the other crops, it ranks #1. And mainly among cereals, we have wheat, which ranks here like a third after maize and rice globally. Wheat is focused in production mainly in the Asian countries, Russia, also in the Americas and in the Europe before Americas and Africa. For example, if we look here about the production in tonnage, about the Americas, which is the North and the South, it's about 100 million tonnage out of the worldwide 770 million tonnage. America, United States of America by itself, according to the USDA economic list, it shows that by 2022, the production was about 46 million tons. Why wheat? Why we are interested in wheat? Wheat is very important crop, as we said, and 35% of the global population depends on wheat for their staple food. Also, wheat has very good characteristics in being a strong environmental adaptability and high in nutritional value. In the past 20 years, there was an increase in interest about ancient wheats, mainly in einkorn, spelt, emmer, and this concept of reproduction or rediscovering these ancient wheat has been renewed, and more people have been looking into using these crops, especially in marginal areas. And with adaptability to changing climate, they found that this is very important crop to look again at it, as well as there is a growing interest among consumers who would like to getting more of the health benefits. Despite all these production or ideas coming in the past 20 years, researchers have published some of the material regarding ancient wheat versus modern wheat, but there is still a gap in the knowledge and about what would be the nutritional health benefits, as well as if it could be useful in as a tool or as a crop in the organic regenerative agriculture. So before we dive into the project and what it is about, I would like to give you some introduction about ancient wheat, especially for people who do not have the experience about ancient wheat. And so we'll start with a variety or a crop which we called einkorn. It is Triticum monococcum. It has been found for thousands and thousands of years since the early of the production of wheat. It is the earliest that has been cultivated, and it is originated in Turkey and currently is grown in Balkan countries, Germany, Switzerland, Spain, and Italy. It has the simpler genetic structure, meaning diploid, 2 sets of chromosomes. Each set is about 7. And so compared to the modern, which has 6 sets of chromosomes. So it is very simple genetic material. It is considered extra soft wheat compared to other crops and suited for low input farming system. That's a very good and beneficial characteristic that it is grown under low input farming system. It is also another characteristic that it is tolerant to drought, but not as spelt, which we will talk in a slide further on. It is prized for its nutritional quality, such as protein, mineral content, compared to modern wheat, which we will see in some of the results. Spelt is another ancient wheat. It is Triticum spelta, and it has been cultivated for 1,000 years as well. It is staple grain in Europe during the Bronze and Middle Ages. It belongs to the same family as the modern wheat, because it was hybridized, the modern wheat from that from spelt, and it has also 6 sets of chromosomes. It is considered hard wheat, and it is also adaptable to poor soil conditions, which gives us another edge of being useful in marginal lands and in drought areas. The reason is that it is able to adapt because it has very deep roots, and it can have access to water and nutrients from deeper depths. It has a different taste. It has a nutty flavor and used in baking and cooking, and it is usually used as in the artisanal recipes and health-conscious recipes. Heritage wheat On the other hand, it is the wheat that it is between the ancient and the modern. And it is made of many varieties you can find in the dealers where they sell the heritage wheat. It is either Sonora or Red 5, Lancaster, Turkey Red, Frederick. All these were grown since the 1880s, before the Green Revolution. Originated also in Turkey and brought to USA in Kansas by Mennonite immigrants from Russia in the 19th century. It belongs to the same family as modern wheat. It is hexaploidy and it has 6 sets of chromosomes. It is considered hard wheat and it is very tall compared to the modern, and it has small berries and bigger root system. It is also known not only for hardiness, but drought tolerant. It is high in content of protein. It's considered an excellent crop or wheat for baking qualities, and it's very popular among farmers and bakers. So modern wheat, which is Triticum acetivum, it is a hexaploidy. And between 1950 and 1960, this crop became the crop that we call transformed under the Green Revolution by Norman Borlaug. Norman Borlaug and his research team, they bred the other heritage or the ancient or all other crops that came before the modern to make them more industrialized, to be used on a bigger scale, suited for high input farming system, meaning it is always considered to be produced under heavy fertilization and irrigation. And it is bred to have a high yield, making it high in starch to feed bigger population. But on the other hand, making it bred to starch, it lost some of its protein content. It is bred to be dwarf, so it would be able to have a bigger spike compared to the stock size. And the benefits also from modern, that it is resistant to diseases such as rust, fusarium, blight, and other insects. And it is resistant to lodging. Lodging means that when the crop, it is bending from its perpendicular stature, that could be due to rain, heavy rain, storm, or it could be high winds. It could be that the crop is really heavy with the material, the spikes, and those climate conditions came very quickly before the harvest. So the modern, in that case, compared to other wheat crops, they would be resistant to lodging. So coming back to what we talked about, that there is a great interest in ancient wheat, and because of their adaptability and health benefits, we are looking into filling more of the gap in knowledge and looking how we can use it as a commodity for nutritional health benefits. And also, would it be helpful to include it in the organic regenerative agriculture farming systems, as we are looking into more of a no-till or reduced till and minimizing any of the tillage to conserve more of the carbon in the soil. So during 2020, we applied for a big grant proposal, and it was funded by the Foundation of Food and Agriculture Research. And that project is a multi-state, multi-institution from across United States. And mainly we are looking to identify major crops such as the corn and wheat, to look into the protein quality, and also ergothioneine. Ergothioneine, which I will be talking about it later, it is a rare amino acid that was found to be important, and I will talk about its function. So with that, we started in 2021, and we are still working on that project. And we incorporated into our project also growers from across United States, from Michigan, from Montana, from Pennsylvania, and from New York. And we have gotten a big board on this project. Mainly in this project, for me, I was looking into specifics such as, would ancient wheat differ in nutritional composition from heritage wheat and modern wheat when they are grown under the same field and climate conditions? We want to understand how they differ in their nutritional composition. Also, in that, we are looking about the soil and plant relationships. We want to understand if this crop could be revised or could be rediscovered in Pennsylvania and the Mid-Atlantic, to look into how we can use it in other locations. I know that we have growers on this grant that in Michigan as well as in Montana, in different regions of United States, are looking at this similar varieties that I am using. So we are using here in Pennsylvania, and we are comparing to our growers what they find over there. We are also looking, in addition to the nutrients in soil and the plant leaves and the stalk and the grains, we are looking about the percent of root colonization by mycorrhizal fungi. And we are collaborating with USDA collaborator. And we are also looking into microbial communities, identifying their structures and their abundance. And we are working with Strauss Research Center from there. We are looking all those to link them to health benefits. However, on top of that, which is not related to this project foundation, but I said, okay, why I don't ask another question? And that question is that would be benefiting using ancient wheat stocks to form a mulch in reduced or no-till farming systems. And that would be important for me to answer this question, because I want to see that is there an alternative to rye, which we usually use here as a crop after we harvest, or triticale. It could be useful to form a mulch. And so since we are looking into regenerative organic systems and potentials, I thought this would be important to understand and test. So let's start about the study. Here we have, so the study started in 2021, where we took 2 acres of land. One year we took 1 acre, and it was preceded the crop there, corn silage. And so since we are working with a regenerative organic system, we're minimizing the soil disturbance. So we cultivated with a cultivator called the Treffler, that it scratches the soil so we can have it ready and prepared for seeding the crops. So we seeded the crops in fall 2021 and fall 2022 in October. And we used ancient wheat, einkorn, and spelt. We use heritage Turkey red. Modern, we use the variety Erisman, and the same one that has been used in Michigan. Triticale is not a pure wheat. It is a cross between rye and wheat, but I said, well, let me throw it into the pool and see what comes out of it, since I am looking into finding more about it for the future. And it was only tested in 2022. The experiment is a randomized complete block design with 4 replications, and the grains were harvested in July of 2022 as well as in 2023. So in this, which as I said, we are looking at a big profile of nutrients, but here I'm going to talk about the minerals, nutrients in the grain, macro and micronutrients, crude protein, essential amino acids, non-essential amino acids, and ergothioneine. As you know that the minerals, macronutrients, they are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. These are needed in bigger amounts than the micronutrients, which is the manganese, iron, copper, and zinc. As for the crude protein, it is considered essential nutrient because mostly it is found in the animal meat, but also it is found in grains and some vegetables. It is usually used throughout the body and the building blocks for all the 20 amino acids. And these 20 amino acids are divided among the essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. We have 9 essential amino acids, and we have about 11 non-essential amino acids. Why we call them essential? Because the body cannot make them, but we have to consume them through the food. So meaning the food should have these essential amino acids. Now, the non-essential amino acids are the ones that are broken down by the essential amino acids. So they are the derivatives of those essential amino acids that we consume through the food. Ergothioneine is a recently newly investigated in the past 5-7 years here in Pennsylvania. There was a big growth of research in the 1940s in Germany, where scientists there were looking at ergothioneine. And then there were no more work after that. And then suddenly we start seeing more of this work happening at Penn State University, Hershey medical centers, where they revived the information and studies about ergothioneine. So let's talk about what is ergothioneine. Ergothioneine, it's an amino acid. It's only produced by fungi or fungi-like bacteria. It is not synthesized by plants, but attained through our diet, meaning the plant is just taking up that from the soil. So if the soil doesn't have it from the beginning, the crop doesn't make it or bring it up and store it. And not all crops, they have that ability to take up that amino acid. It is considered an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and it has the potential to mitigate neurodegenerative and cardiovascular diseases. It has been shown in studies that it is helpful for minimizing Alzheimer's or dementia, and the structure, meaning that in a way that reducing aging in that case. The humans have an active transporter specific to ergothioneine, which makes it helpful to work through their bodies. So ergothioneine is a rare amino acid. It is a new term for many of you. And you could see here the structure of it, where it has the nitrogen, the carbons, and the sulfur at one of their rings over there. So let's dive into the results of this study, and this is definitely is coming from 2022 trial. We haven't finished compiling the 2023. We are still waiting for some results coming back from the labs on ergothioneine and other things. So if we look at this graph, I just want to include some information for you here. So for example, you will see in all my graphs here that einkorn is represented by a pink bar, spelled by a tan yellow, turkey red by blue, the modern by red, and triticale by gray. if we are looking at the nitrogen in the grains, we see that there is no significant difference statistically among the ancient and the heritage wheat, but they were strongly greater than the modern and triticale. As far as phosphorus, calcium, potassium, magnesium, and sulfur, they are here in this second graph here. And similarly, I'm using the same codes for einkorn, spelt turkey, red, modern, and triticale. You could see here that the phosphorus and the calcium are much higher in the einkorn, and also in similar to spelt in potassium, in magnesium, as well in the sulfur. These are similar spelt and einkorn. When we are looking at potassium, why would be more of potassium in those? As I mentioned earlier, that einkorn and spelt, they have deeper roots and they can pick the mineral of potassium from deeper depths of the soil, which makes it more of beneficial than the modern wheat, which has a shorter stalk and a shorter root depth. So that's where you will see more of those potassium coming from deeper soil depths, which is a great advantage. So when we looked at our data here and we compare it to other people who published on the minerals, we found the amounts that we have in the einkorn specifically are greater than those reported by other researchers. Again, when we are looking here at zinc, we are looking to see that the einkorn, if we look on this graph, the einkorn was 2 times the greater than the modern in zinc and manganese as well. You could see it here, and triticale. For manganese, we could see that it is about 37% greater. And then we could see that for einkorn was greater by 18% in iron than spelt. So einkorn is really the leading crop here when among those tested. Also, again, for micronutrients, we find our levels are greater than those reported by other researchers. Okay, crude protein. So again, we have the crude protein over here, and similarly to nitrogen, they were greater and no significant difference between einkorn, spelt, and turkey, but they were greater than modern and triticale. They are similar in structure, and you could see that most of our protein that we have in those are about between 11 and 11.5. If we look here about the ancient wheat data compared to the other researchers, we found that they are lower. And those because could be that they have used different varieties, maybe land races that are specific for Turkey or specific for North Dakota. But it would be really interesting to see similar varieties or those varieties that they are grown in other locations, how they do here as well among the ones that we got. So let's move to the essential amino acids. And again, I'm using the same colors for all these varieties. Essential amino acids, we have 9 important essential amino acids. And these include leucine, phenylalanine, valine, isoleucine, lysine, threonine, histidine, methionine, and tryptophan. You would see that leucine is the first, that it is highest among all the other amino acids in the grains. In particular, you could see that einkorn and spelt and turkey red is higher in those leucine concentrations than modern and triticale. You could also see that leucine and valine and isoleucine are these three main essential amino acids that have branched chain amino acid structure, which is like on the side, that branched amino acid structure, that it is hydrophobic, does not attract water, but attracts fatty acids. So these are important to connect with fatty acids. Leucine and valine, they are considered key regulators in protein synthesis, mainly in muscle tissue. It helps repairing and it helps building the muscle tissue. Leucine and isoleucine are also involved in energy production and regulating the blood sugar levels in our bodies. To continue with essential amino acids, we found also that all ancient and heritage grains are among the other ones. They are also greater in concentration than modern or triticale. You could see across the graph there. But what is important, I want to say here that how each of those really help our bodies. For example, phenylalanine is important as a neurotransmitter in the mood, in the stress for thyroid function. Each of those have different or similar sometimes in their functions. For example, lysine and threonine are essential, but they are essential and they are very helpful for collagen and connective tissues and immunity. In particular, lysine has additional advantage of calcium absorption. And threonine, it has a additional function as fat metabolism. Histidine, on the other hand, it has the function of immunity, repairing tissues, and hemoglobin. Whereas methionine has the function of detoxification and zinc absorption. And zinc absorption, as many of you know, that it is very important for our immunity system. The tryptophan is a precursor for serotonin, and it functions in the as a neurotransmitter. It helps in this sleep-wake cycle. So there are very many benefits to know how these ancient wheat and heritage wheat can be helpful in all these bodily functions. As for non-essential amino acids, for example, using the same codes for the colors, they are about 11. We have glutamic acid, proline, aspartic acid, arginine, serine, glycine, alanine, cysteine, taurine, and tyrosine. Glutamine is not included here in our analysis, but these are the ones that we analyzed. Again, you could see that einkorn, spelt, and turkey red grains, these are here, are mostly the highest in all of those amino acids, and they are highest in the glutamic acid. So they are pretty high when you compare them in glutamic acid compared to the modern or triticale. What is important about glutamic acid is that it is involved again in the neural excitability associated with the stress reduction. It's important for relaxation. It plays a major role in memory, learning, and cognition. So let's look at the other non-essential amino functions, and we could see that proline is derived from glutamine. So that's where proline comes here. It is important for collagen, and it's important for connective tissues. Aspartic acid also, it's in the overall health. Arginine is important for blood pressure, blood flow. Serine, it involves in the immunity, in the mood, in the muscle, in the fat burning. Glycine is a neurotransmission and detoxification. And alanine also in detoxification. Cysteine stimulates the collagen again. So that with the proline, they work together And taurine, again, is important for neurotransmission, antioxidant activity, and cardiovascular function. Tyrosine, it is involved in reducing the depression and pain. So you could see here that essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids, they work together, and when you consume the essential amino acids and they break down, the functions will continue and will be useful for the bodily health. We talked about ergothioneine and we looked at it here, and you could see that there was no difference even when you compare ancient wheat with heritage and modern. There is no significant difference because they all having the same letter of B, but they were all lower than triticale, which was a surprise for me to see that triticale was statistically higher in the ergothioneine. And the ergothioneine here is measured as nanogram per milligram. So that's considered a plus in a way that we learned about triticale for the future, because we use it for a crop and we use it as a mulch here in Pennsylvania and other locations in United States. But could be that this year was showing us ergothioneine for the first time. We will look at second year and other places. Excuse me. So to continue, we addressed the first question. And now I'm looking into, could we benefit from using ancient wheat stocks to form a mulch? And that's important for me to learn how we can find benefits from the grain as well as from the stock itself. Well, the common harvesting practice that growers have been using in the past 70 years is that they take the combine and they put the combine head all the way to the bottom there, and they harvest all the grain and shoot back the stalks and bale the stalks and sell it. And then the land will only left with small amounts of stalks and a little bit of roots, and then it not helpful to cover the land after that. But what if we can use them for another thing? So here is side by side, I have the modern wheat and the einkorn wheat. And you could see that they are different in height. It is about 6 inches to 12 inches. In certain areas, we found that they are taller, the einkorn wheat. And so that will really, in my opinion, allows for roll crimping of those stalks and use them in the reduced tillage. Another benefit, when you keep that stock attached to the root system, this really feeds the soil microbes, and they continue to feed all the way when you have the second crop grown in it. So with time, you are building a larger microbial population. I'm trying to forward this. Okay. So when you have more of the microbial population and the roots are there and decomposing slowly, and you have the straw on top of it, you are covering the soil, you are providing less opportunity for weeds to come through, and you are also sequestering and loading the carbon into the into the soil. For example, here, this is when we try to get the grain, and this is in the case of spelt. We used our combine with the platform header 915F. We put it as high as we can where the spelt is, and we harvested only the grain, leaving the stalk in the soil. So I want to see if this will work. Yes, hopefully. I want to show you after we harvested. You could see here the stalk is still there. And I'm gonna play this. Hopefully it will work. So this is what we call a roller crimper. And it is designed here at Rodale Institute. And we use it in front of the tractor. And then at the back of the tractor, we hook up the monosyl seeder. And we, at the same time, you could see that we are rolling the straw and seeding directly the seeds. You could put in that like dry beans, could be black beans. And in this case, that's what we did. We rolled it and we put that. So here you could see that, sorry for that. I'm trying to get to the picture, but it is not. Okay. In summary, what we found that ancient wheat, heritage wheat, grains have greater mineral amounts, concentrations. They have a greater crude protein. They have more of amino acids compared to modern wheat. However, ergothioneine amino acid was similar among all these grains, but was greater in the triticale. This tells us a story that this health benefits that we can reap from ancient wheat and heritage wheat is very important, and their adaptability to drought, low input production in contrast to modern, that it requires high irrigation or areas where it should be grown in high water and high fertilization. This is becoming like promising crops for me. And it should be given an opportunity to be useful, and especially because of that stock that could be used. Like after the grain, you don't need to sell that stock away, but you are giving it back as a gift to your soil. You can have a better system and include it in a regenerative organic in the future. With that, I just want to thank you all for attending. I'm going now to open the video, and I'm going to look at your questions. But before that, I want to see, there are some people who put something here in the chat. Let me read some of those. Oh my God. Lots of people have signed also as well. We have about probably 285 or more, as I have seen here, and registered. Let me look at the questions first, and I will come back to your chat questions. All right. We have people from Kurdistan, Iran. Okay. Thank you for joining. One of the questions, may we melt triticale into flour aside for use in animal feed? Triticale can be helpful to be used, but I would consider you can use it as a supplement to other, what you call it, other flour, because it is a bit hard. And so it would be helpful to have more of other supplement to it to make it better for baking or for using as a flour. Is einkorn similar to emmer? No. Einkorn is like the beginning of wheat. That emmer is a crop that was with the crossing came later on, and it was crossed like using einkorn crust with wild grass. It produces the emmer. And the emmer is not as diploid, but it has what you call it, uh, two sets, each or four sets of chromosomes compared to the modern that has six sets. But einkorn is considered ancient wheat because that was long time ago, thousands of years ago as well. What are the usual yields and seeding rates? Usual yields, as I said, modern was hybridized to be a high yielding, but usually if you will compare data on the yields, you will find that still modern wheat would be higher than heritage, than ancient wheat. But the one year data that I am talking about here, it showed that again, modern wheat was higher, spelt was high because it has a bigger seed than the einkorn. So seed size, seed weight, and number of seeds that in the spike make an importance. Another question, is einkorn same as emmer? We answered that question. Let's see if we have another. What are the usual yields and seeding rates? We talk about the usual, it is about, you could say usual, we could say about 60 pounds per acre, we could look, or more, those for the ancient wheat. It is higher for the modern, definitely. It is about 90 to 100. Depends on the location, again, and depends on the variety you are using. The rates that we used here, it is about 120 pounds per acre. And so similarly in New York, they use a similar rates. Some researchers have done work on rates, and they looked at which of those, like 30, 60, 90, or 120, and even more like 150, and they found between 90 and 120 would be a good seeding rate. Sometimes you would be seeding a little bit more because you want to make sure that your germination and emergence is really there so you can reap better yields. Thank you for sharing your research. Will you make the slides available for reference? As I said at the beginning, this webinar would be available and will be posted on our website. The slides are not available for people to have, but the webinar, you will have an opportunity, since you already registered, to watch it as many times as you want. Another question here, it says, if we grow ancient and heritage weeds and present, which is, I believe, modern, this as a consumer option for higher essential amino acids, what are the particulates and costs behind measuring this to satisfy trading standards and give confidence to consumer? Expensive? Anytime research is doing, scientists are doing research, this is the advantage of doing research across different locations, and that really help to show the depth and the breadth of the study where these ancient wheat or modern wheat, wherever you are comparing, it is better to compare them in the same site and compare sites to each other under their climate conditions. So if you would be a grower, it would be based on the suggestions or the results that comes out of it. If you are, I'm talking to Tom Pearson. I'm not sure if you are a farmer or you are a company, but studies that if shows that they are higher in essential amino acids. For measuring those, you need to send your samples to labs, as we do, and assess them. They are expensive? Yes, they are expensive. Nothing is cheap for those ones, especially when you are looking at the bigger profile, when we are looking at fatty acids, the carbohydrate, the proxymates, all of those, which I didn't talk about them, but these are very important. If we are looking at vitamins, again, it is very, very expensive. But essential amino acids or the amino acids, if you want to look at protein and amino acids, it's not as expensive as you want to look at all the nutrient profile. Is Triticum turgidum turanicum. If you can give me the common name, it will be helpful for me to know what you are looking for. What is the significance of genetic significance of genetic simplicity or complexity, as in 2 sets versus 6? Are there implications for digestibility or consumer health? Now, to tell you the truth, I have not gone in depth about the genetic material because I'm not a breeder and this is not my area. But when we say it is simple, meaning that it is different in genetic qualifications compared to the others. In digestibility and consumer health, I could tell you that einkorn, it is the simple one. It was not bred or with other grasses or other wheat material or rye, but it is what you call it. It is soft. So that softness is different when you breed and it becomes hexa, and some of those become more hardier. So as far as digestibility and consumer health, I have not looked into that, but this is a very interesting question, and thank you, Cameron, for raising it. I will be looking more into it, and that's the beauty of our webinars, to have people that ask such questions that are really helpful for us and for the other people who are in the audience. I will check that. If you are interested, I will look into that information, Cameron, and you have here my email. And email me your email, and then I could send you some information regarding this question. Is kamut similar to emmer and einkorn? Kamut is considered ancient wheat. It also originated in the area of Egypt or Iran and brought to United States. And it is an ancient wheat. It has an issue of, it is very good, very, very tasty, excellent for baking bread. It's very nutritious. People in Montana are producing it, but what I realized that it has some of the issues of bending, lodging as well, but it is a great ancient wheat as well. In your experiment, did the modern wheat require more inputs or irrigation, and were all varieties grown organically? Very good question. we did not apply any external irrigation. It is all depends on rainfall that we get. And all of them, since they are replicated and they are in the same area, so they all got the same rainfall, and they are all grown organically, because my study was how we can find alternative to rye or triticale, and how we can use the benefits that we can get from the structure of the stock, and could we be useful for regenerative organic. Yes, we did that organically. Again, there is another question. Did you grow the trials in organic conditions? Yes. Did you add any inputs? The inputs that we only added is the compost that we usually prepare at Rodale Institute after we harvested the silage, and we did one time of traveler, the cultivation, the minimal disturbance, because we need to make sure that the little bit of the soil is scratched. We added compost across the whole land, so everything will have the same amount. And then we did another scratching with that traveler, and we seeded after that. Another question here. Modern wheat proteins contain some allergic peptides for a human population. Didn't analyze the other genotypes from the point of view their allergic characteristic. We did not do the what we call the allergic peptides, or if for majorly modern wheat is known for the gluten problem and celiac diseases. And so according to some of the literature that has been published, and where they compared the gluten, in that case, the gluten, it is gliadin and glutenin, they found that glutenin in the einkorn is lower than modern, but the gliadin is higher in the einkorn compared to modern. In that case, the ratio will be like greater than modern. So one thing I want to mention, that modern wheat gluten has been changing, and the einkorn, which is the beginning of all wheat, did not have changes or bred in a way that different. What I mean here, that the einkorn has a different gluten, and it did not change with time as, or unless it is bred into something else. But in modern, since it is bred, while breeding, the gluten has changed. But we did not look into the allergic characteristics. We cannot do everything in one project. It is, although it is a multi-state, multinational, there is always a room where to do something new and additional once we get the next step from here. At the beginning, we wanted to get more information about their suitability, about what they have, so we can look into the differences across the country and across the varieties that we have. And then we dig deeper as we go. Khorasan wheat, yes, it is an ancient wheat. Can you conclude that mineral and nutrient availability in the soil directly relates to nutrition analysis in the wheat? You cannot always conclude that whatever you find in the soil is directly related to the nutrients in the wheat, because it depends mostly on how the microbes are really decomposing or using these nutrients and in relation to the roots and the root structure of uptake and availability of water. So sometimes you will find of those minerals are already in the soil, but maybe not taken up by the plant. The ratio of these minerals could be not in a way that really allow all the minerals that in the soil to be in the plant. This is a very good question. Sometimes also we find that the minerals in the soil, if we are looking at minerals, we are looking here at the soluble ones or available. But if we are having nutrients in the soil, availability, meaning that the root structure, the water availability, the microorganism, the diversity of the microorganisms, the climate during the time that the plant is growing, all these are factors that play a role in whether we can get the minerals in the plant or not. But generally, if you have these minerals in the plant, you can get some of those minerals into the in the soil, sorry, they will get into the plant. Usually the amounts would be higher in the soil than in the plants. But not all, even the nutrients in the stalk or in the leaf, they will end up into the grain. Some of those, they will end up there. It depends. The plant really has a way to say, okay, I want to keep some of those in the stalk, some of those in the grain, some of those in the leaf, or some go to the root. So the plant has compartmentalization for those nutrients. Another question, could you give an idea on the size of the root system? Difference in icon, modern triticale. Okay, we have not looked at the root system. That would be the next concept that I want to test. And but from the literature, I found out that the einkorn and the spelt, they are deep rooted, and they can go up to 5 feet long in depth in the soil, compared to the modern that can go up to 3 feet deep. So that's one thing. Density, as a density, I have not done any assessment, but that's, as I said, it would be the next step that we will be looking. When I got the roots from the modern and the einkorn here, we found that the einkorn has more of side roots than the modern, but also the main root was longer, much longer than the modern. Are any of the ancient wheat summer varieties? I only have rain, summer, autumn. The ones that I used here are winter. Yes, kamut, for example. Kamut is a one that you can grow in the late spring, and you can still harvest it about late July, August. So it could have been a good way to look into kamut in that case. There are some other ancient wheat land races. I have not worked with them, but I know about them. They are grown in spring and then harvested in September, let's say. Yeah, they are. Is there a correlation of celiac tolerant among ancient to modern? As I mentioned, some research that I read about that they claim that ancient wheat are still high as the modern in gluten, and they could affect people who are sensitive to gluten. And but I have not done this work. We have collected samples, and these samples would be sent out to run the analysis, and we will see if ours have differences based on what we got here. But very good question. It is one of the questions I had on my mind. That's one. I realized that I joined late. Is this available to rewatch? Yes, definitely. Since you register, if you register to any webinars we have, and even if you join late, you can see this again and again, as many as you want. And in a week, we will have the webinar available on our website, and you will receive also an email showing you the link where you can go, or it is saying it is already available. You can go and watch it from there. Okay, so I'm closing now the question and answer, but I want to see if we have anything in the chat. We have the list of people: California, Wisconsin, Lebanon, Missouri, Netherlands, France, Ohio, Nevada. People have joined. Minnesota, Michigan, Ontario, Canada, New Jersey, California again, Colorado, Belgium, Mexico City, Denmark, New Jersey, California, Indiana. Let's see what the other questions they have. Italy, Florida, Connecticut, Iowa again, UK, Joshua 3, Spain, Washington, Maine, Tennessee, Iran, Pennsylvania, UK, Liguria, Italy, Lebanon again, New York, Richmond, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Houston, Texas. Okay, we have a question here. I hope I can get what it is saying. I have a test plot of winter triticale rich in nitrogen in northern Ontario. Now, the crop is flowering. May I know if we can mill this into flour aside from animal we feed? Oops, where did it go? Yeah. May I know if we can mill this into flour aside from animal feed? Thanks, Adolf. Okay. Triticale, as I believe I mentioned, that it is very important that if you want to use it in the flour, you need to mix it with something else because it is hard and it may not give you the elasticity that you want if you want to use it as a flour for baking or something. That's the only thing I have. Are these slides available? No, they will be only the webinar would be available. Either this webinar or all our webinars, they are not available as slides. Is there similar data for MR wheat? There are studies done on MR, but very, very little. And MR, I did not include it in this one because of the area that we used and the required amount of work that we need under this proposal. However, Amr, I tested it very in small plot here in 2017, and I found it is really a good crop that can be useful in Pennsylvania, Mid-Atlantic. So I'm thinking that I should in the next set of experiments I will be doing to include that as well. But thanks for your question. There is a PhD student in Cameroon and working on adaptation for modern wheat variety in new region in my country. During my trial experiment, I experienced a great loss of grains by birds. My first phase of experiment, I used an organic pesticide, hot pepper, apple cider vinegar. It was effective, but since it was a rainy season, its effectiveness didn't last more than 3 days. Yes, that's true. Please, what do you suggest that I do to control the birds? I don't know if those birds are, I'm just speculating, are migratory or they are always residential in the area. Um, I like birds, but if they are causing a problem for you in Cameroon, look what could be, they could be a way to do that. When you grow something and it is tasty and it is really good, and the birds are looking for food and shelter and water, and there is nothing around where you are growing, it would be helpful for you to grow something away where the birds would be using, not too close to your place. But I found this as one of the methods that they can use an area where they have flowers, where they have access to make more of the dew on the flowers. So the birds would go there and they will have some seeds on them rather than getting them only to an area where could be what you are growing. I am not privy to give what could be a different way because I didn't experience, unfortunately. We have a lot of birds. I love birds, but we did not see this issue. I would suggest you contact wildlife extension people, educators could be more help on that. But the idea of using hot pepper as well as what you call it, the vinegar is one of the methods. It goes away whenever it rains, especially if it rains often in your area. So I don't have that advice for you other than what I said. Is Amber wheat same as einkorn, turkey red as red 5? Turkey red and red 5, they are heritage wheat, yes, but Amber is not as einkorn. Einkorn is the base, is the beginning of life where we had the first cultivated wheat, and then with the crossing with wild grasses, Emmer became the next generation coming as a wheat. Red 5 and Turkey Red are considered heritage. Have you performed any nutritional analysis on Khorasan wheat? Emanuela, I had a small study about Kamut, but not Khorasan. I believe some people, they call Khorasan as Kamut, but for some reason, I was looking at those. Some people, they call them Khorasan, and some of the people, they call them differently. And they say Kamut is different from Khorasan. I'm not really sure, but I did a small trial on Kamut, and we are still processing the samples for their analysis, and I will look into that. But since this is my first trial about ancient wheat, I am diving more and more as I am seeing it more interesting, and it is really attracting me more. But I have not looked into her sun wheat. But have you looked, Emanuela, into any other ancient wheat? I would like to hear from you. You can either write up here or you can send me email, and we can communicate on that. Um, I'm trying to find if there are any other in the chat. You are very welcome. Thank you for attending. Yes, it is very informative. It is informative for me as well. I learned a lot, tell you the truth. I am very thankful that you find it helpful, informative for you. Excellent information. Thank you very much for your input, for your questions. Amazing for me. Trying to get more. Okay, I want to see if I can increase this. Yes, okay. Now here, a person says, I have used triticale quite a bit in my baking. Okay. It behaves more like rye than wheat, so you need to take that into consideration, but otherwise it's nice flour to work with. Exactly. Rye is a tough one, more than the modern wheat that has some elasticity. You're right. Could you give me an idea of the size of the root system of these wheat? Any big difference? Heritage, modern? Thank you. I do not have much information about the root system, unfortunately, but we found that the main root is longer in the ancient wheat compared to the modern, and we found the modern has like a superficial, more of the smaller roots than the, and didn't go deep as the einkorn or the spat. Thank you for your presentation. You are very welcome. It is my pleasure. When this would be published, as soon as we get the second data back and get it together, definitely it will be there, available and published. Thank you for your insights. Thank you. Best place to purchase these grains near Cherry Hill in New Jersey. There is a vendor in New York called Lakeview Grains, and if you Google Lakeview grains, they sell organic grains. Also, you can look into Quinn Farms in Montana. That's far away for you, but another source is the Quinn Farms. They have camel. They have the ancient wheats that I'm talking about, and so contact them and see what you can find out. Sharif Subra, thank you so much for excellent presentation. Great to see both graduated from AUB. Yes, thank you, Sharif. That's nice. I do have to leave. I have another meeting coming in 1 minute, but I really appreciate all your questions, all your skills that you poured into this webinar. It is really lovely to see how this topic really brought a lot of you around the globe. And I look forward to see more in depth working on this and giving other presentations, which I would be giving again in this summer and in October about the vegetable systems trial. So stay tuned and look into other webinars we have posted and webinars that are coming from other presenters that coming every week or every other week. So with that, I want to say thank you so much and stay tuned to our research work and be happy. Thank you. Ciao. Bye-bye.